Aristotle was a Greek philosopher during the classical period in ancient Greece. Taught by Plato, he was the founder of the school of philosophy and the Aristotelian tradition. His writings cover many subjects including physics, biology, geology, logic, ethics, aesthetics, poetry, theatre, music, rhetoric, psychology, linguistics, economic, politics, and government. Today we'll discuss about the Rhetoric by Aristotle. Aristotle provided a complex synthesis of the various philosophies existing prior to him. As a result, his philosophy has exerted a unique influence on almost every form of knowledge in the West, and it continues to be a subject of contemporary philosophical discussion. What the ancients called rhetoric was the technology responsible for the production of effective discourse. Although the term rhetoric was already used before Aristotle, it can be said that Aristotle was the one who theorized this practice and gave it a system. In other words, it would be a very hasty conclusion to say that rhetoric did not exist before Aristotle, but rhetoric came to take its decisive shape when it reached to Aristotle. As Aristotle said, rhetoric is the art of finding the most suitable means of persuasion for a given situation. And in order to persuade the audience, you must acquire all three means of ethos, pathos, and logos. Aristotle taught that a speaker's ability to persuade an audience for the audience to accept and act upon is based on how well the speaker appeals to that audience in three different means of ethos, pathos, and logos. Otherwise also known as rhetorical appeals, these are the means of persuading others to believe a particular point of view, and these appeals form what later rhetoricians have called rhetorical triangles. The ethos, pathos, and logos is defined by the quote of Aristotle. The first kind depends on the personal character of the speaker, the second on putting the audience into a certain frame of mind, the third on the proof or the apparent proof. Let's find out what are the three elements of persuasion that Aristotle offered. First, ethos. Ethos represents the speaker's position. The more prestigious and credible the speaker is, the better and the more persuasive the discourse is. There is a big difference in persuasive power depending on who speaks, and securing the speaker's credibility is just as important as providing a logical explanation. A speaker who is unable to instill faith in the audience will find it difficult to seek consent and persuasion from the audience, no matter how well they speak. Second, pathos. Pathos uses a psychology that relies on emotions when making decisions and appeals to the emotion of the audience. It is an understanding of the emotions of the audience. The word pathos mainly refers to the intensity and passion of emotions in the modern world, and in the end, it means whether you have persuaded the audience by attracting and reaching their heart deeply. No matter how much you make your arguments without empathizing with the audience, their minds won't even move a slight and will never be persuaded. Lastly, logos. Logos is a method of persuading an audience by logically demonstrating self-claim based on evidence. In order to persuade the audience, the argument must first be clear, and the basis for the argument must be objective and valid. Usually, a term logical follows when an argument is made and the evidence to support it is clearly presented. In conclusion, what Aristotle wanted to emphasize was not the skills of the speech, but the rational and logical ability to discover ways of persuasion. He attempts to highlight speech as a product of rational rather than emotional by making rhetoric based on logic. From this point of view, the theoretical analysis and explanation of rhetorical triangle can be said to be a great achievement of Aristotle's rhetoric.